Every act of creation is first an act of destruction. This is a quote from Picasso that basically means you have to destroy it to rebuild it. Keep this quote in your mind as we start the video. I know this is a bit of a weird start, but you guys will see what I mean as we start talking about the DC Universe today. Okay everybody, calm down. We've got a lot to talk about today. It looks like the DC Universe is pretty much in a meltdown. If you guys haven't heard already, it looks like the DC Universe is going to be canceling a bunch of upcoming films, and pretty much everything is going to be changing in the DCU thanks to James Gunn and Peter Safran, and I'll explain why I think it's a good thing. I know a lot of people right now are taking the Hollywood Reporter's article out of context. Everyone's going around saying Wonder Woman 3 is cancelled, Man of Steel is cancelled, Henry Cavill's out. Now don't get me wrong, that could be true, but most likely it isn't. So all of this talk is happening because of the article that the Hollywood Reporter released last night. The title says Patty Jenkins, Wonder Woman 3 not moving forward as DC movies hit turning point. New DC Studios heads James Gunn and Peter Safran are in the final stages of prepping their multi-year plan ahead of next week's pivotal presentation to Warner Bros. Discovery CEO David Zaslav. So if you guys remember, not long ago David Zaslav said that he wants to have a 10-year plan for the DCU going forward and have a more cohesive story. Then he went out and hired James Gunn and Peter Safran to make that happen. I think they're going to do a fantastic job, and this is just some of the growing pains that they have to get through in order to make this thing great. So they've been hard at work at this plan. They're going to present it to David Zaslav next week, and basically what they're doing is they're cutting out all of the stuff that is hindering this future DCU from being successful. It says here, call it DC Rebirth or DC Genesis, maybe call it Identity Crisis or Flashpoint. These titles of past DC Comics event series aptly describe the state of Warner Bros. DC movies, which are on the cusp of a new era but before a potentially messy transition period, because we know this transition period is going to be super messy. Just like I said, everyone's running around saying that Wonder Woman is cancelled, Henry Cavill's fired again, and some of these actors are most likely going to be getting recast too, so that's another growing pain. You're going to have a lot of people complaining about the new faces, and it's going to be a little bit confusing too when they start a new timeline, because there's going to be more casual fans that don't even know that this thing is happening, and they're going to be all confused, and then you're going to have some people that are upset that it's even happening and just complaining all of the time. So it's going to be pretty messy. It says a cleaning of the slate is common when a new executive team is put in place to run a studio or division, which totally makes sense because I'm just putting myself in James Gunn's shoes right now. Like, I walk into Warner Brothers and they want me to make a 10-year plan for their DC universe, and I look at what they've done so far and I would be like, holy crap, this is just really messed up. I would want to reset the whole thing too, to be completely honest. Like, half of the movies haven't been received well from audiences and critics. The brand name is a bit tarnished too. Like, even my friends that are more casual fans are like, oh boy, a DC movie, like who knows if it's going to be good or not. And that's what the vast majority of people think. They think that DC isn't, you know, up to par with something like Marvel, and that's obviously hurting their box office numbers too, because a lot of people don't go out to see the DC movies because they don't think they're going to get their money's worth, versus I would say like 90% of the time with Marvel, like a family of 5 would rather go see that movie because they know that they're most likely going to enjoy it more. And that all just comes down to the messy past that the DC universe has had. So just like the article says, I think it makes sense to have a clean slate, you know, start fresh, start new. James Gunn and Safran can just make this thing their own, make it a trusted brand, and go from there. Now let's go ahead and just keep looking through this article here. So it says the duo in recent days flew back to Los Angeles from the snowy city of Aspen, Colorado, where they were huddled in deep planning, and now, like holy figures coming down from the mountaintop, have sets of commandments or a DC Bible in hand, or at least a working blueprint. So just like I said, they were working together, planning out the future of the DCU. It looks like they finally have a blueprint for what they want to do, and that's why this report just happened to come out last night, because they're pretty much done planning and everything, and they're going to be presenting this to the CEO next week. Now that we've talked about that, we can move on to the juicy parts of the Hollywood Reporter article. The first thing that we're going to talk about is how Wonder Woman 3 is not moving forward and is considered dead in its current incarnation. This is where the misconception happens. Everyone's saying Wonder Woman 3 is cancelled, which based off of that sentence, no, it's not actually cancelled. Just the version that they were going to be making is not going to be happening. And my guess is because they want to reset the whole timeline, and the Wonder Woman 3 that they were probably going to be making didn't really fit into that future. So what I think that sentence actually means is that the Wonder Wonder Woman 3 that they were currently getting ready to make is not going to be happening, but Wonder Woman 3 will be happening in the future, just not that version. So if you're a big Gal Gadot fan or Wonder Woman fan, don't worry, you will still be getting a Wonder Woman 3 at some point. It's just not going to be the version that they were going to be giving you in a couple years' time. And please do not bring Steve Trevor back for a third movie. That's just the one thing that, you know, really bothered me with Wonder Woman 2, and I have a feeling that Patty Jenkins might want to do it again. He does not need to be in this movie. Wonder Woman is an interesting character on her own. You don't need to bring Steve Trevor back in every single movie. And another thing about Wonder Woman 3 is I would not take that as Gal Gadot is fired. I highly doubt that they're going to be getting rid of her. I think she's a fan favorite. A lot of people really like her, and there's nothing wrong with her. She's not doing anything bad behind the scenes that can affect the brand or anything, so I 100% think that Gal Gadot is going to be staying. But now let's talk about some characters that I don't think are going to be staying in the future rebooted timeline, most likely after Flash. First character is the Flash himself, Ezra Miller. I highly doubt he will ever be putting on the Flash costume again after his movie in June. James Gunn probably looked at this whole situation and was like, oh my goodness, like, the Flash movie has to just reboot everything, and then the new timeline is going to be James Gunn and Peter Safran's timeline, with no Ezra Miller, no Amber Heard, because those people are just tarnishing the DC brand right now, because you're gonna have people that just hate Ezra Miller and don't want to see him in the movie. Then you have people that hate Amber Heard and don't want to see her in the Aquaman 2 movie, so it just makes sense to reboot it, get rid of all the people that are causing problems for the brand. You can have a new Flash that can actually run like a runner. You can have a new Mira, you can have a new Aquaman, because it looks like Jason Mamoa is probably going to be playing Lobo. If you guys remember, Jason Momoa posted a video saying it was like the happiest day of his life. He got amazing news. He couldn't share it or anything. He also collects Lobo comic books, if you guys didn't know that. He looks like Lobo. He acts like Lobo. He just, you know, he would be the perfect Lobo. And then literally a couple days after Jason Momoa made that video, James Gunn shared a picture of Lobo on social media. So I think it's safe to say that Jason Momoa is no longer going to be Aquaman after Aquaman in the Lost Kingdom. So we'll probably have like a blonde actor, and James Gunn probably wants to make him a little bit more comic accurate and not so much as like a warrior rock star, which I was totally fine with. I really like that change, but if James Gunn wants to give us a comic accurate Aquaman, that would be cool too. In the article, it talks about the Henry Cavill Superman situation too, because it looks like Man of Steel 2 probably isn't going to happen, and it's so weird because literally just like a few weeks ago, Henry Cavill posted on social media and was like, I'm back as Superman, it's official, and then this bomb drops and everyone's like, whoa, what? Is Henry Cavill gonna play Superman again? Is he done as Superman? Is Henry Cavill fired as Superman again? Personally, I don't think so. I think he is like the literal perfect Superman, and it makes no sense to fire him because he's literally only had one movie, and the DCU needs a Superman. He's a focal character in that universe, so to get rid of him again wouldn't be the smartest move, so I think he's probably staying. Just the Man of Steel 2 that they were planning on making isn't going to be happening. So in the article, it doesn't say that Henry Cavill is out, it doesn't say that Man of Steel 2 is cancelled or anything, but as of right now, it's unlikely to get a Man of Steel 2 anytime soon because there's just no news about it. Like, yes, Henry Cavill might be back as Superman, but because of this reboot in the universe, I'm sure they want to nail their next Superman movie. Like, they want to make that thing amazing, and to just randomly have a Man of Steel 2 right at the beginning of a new timeline and figuring out everything would be a little bit messy. Like, yes, I would like to see it, but as of right now, it looks like that is on the back burner. Something else that's interesting in this article is that they talk about Black Adam potentially not getting a sequel. It says, despite the hype surrounding the movie of launching a new corner of DC, a lot of it led by star Dwayne Johnson, the movie has only grossed $385 million worldwide, and insiders at the studio say the movie, which cost more than $190 million to produce, will be lucky to break even. So that kind of sucks, because personally I like the Black Adam movie. Like, it wasn't obviously an amazing, perfect, epic movie, but I had a lot of fun with it, and I like The Rock in that role. But it looks like as they're trying to balance the finances and everything of the future of the DCU, it just looks like that's not gonna work for them, because if a character with the star power of Dwayne The Rock Johnson can't even make a buck, that's a bit of a red flag, especially when you're trying to build a new universe. Like, I think if they make a Black Adam 2, it is gonna be way down the line, or he's just going to be used as almost like how the Hulk is used in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, like a big character that just kind of pops into different movies. But I don't think they're really confident with that that character to lead a whole franchise, especially because The Rock was in it and it didn't really make any money, which kind of sucks because I think a Black Adam 2 would have been cool. But what this tells me is that James Gunn, Peter Safran, David Zaslav, and just everybody working at Warner Brothers Discovery is really taking this thing seriously. They don't want to just throw things at the wall and see what sticks. They want to really plan this. They want to have a 10-year plan, a bunch of movies set, get rid of everything that wasn't working, get rid of people that are causing problems for them, and making sure that the finances are correct too, because so far the DCU has not really made a lot of money. Like, yes, they've had some big hits like Wonder Woman and Aquaman, but the movies themselves have either lost money, broke even, and then just a few of them have actually made money, so that's very worrying for them. So they want to be as prepared as possible to actually take this thing seriously, make a cohesive story, have all the right people hired in the right places, and be able to pump these movies out and have them be successful, even if that means not giving a sequel to the biggest movie star in the last 10 years, which is The Rock. Then the last part to the article here is talking about Matt Reeves's The Batman universe. It looks like James Gunn and Peter Safran don't want to touch that because it's successful, it's good. It's gonna be like a little corner of the DC cinematic universe that's its own thing, because I think Batman is just such a big character. He can actually do that. There's not really many characters that you could do that with, maybe like Spider-Man, but you can have like the detective Batman universe on the side, and then the main DCU is the one that needs a lot of work that James Gunn and Peter Safran are going to be working really hard on. So if you guys are big fans of the Matt Reeves Batman universe like I am, you guys are safe. It looks like they're not going to be touching that. They're not canceling any of that stuff. But yeah, this is like really worrying but very exciting news all at the same time. Like, I 100% believe that at the end of the Flash movie, Barry Allen is going to completely reset the timeline. No more debate like, is this Snyderverse canon or Joss Whedon's Justice League canon? Like, which one are we following? There's going to be no confusion anymore. One solid timeline. James Gunn is going to be shepherding that whole thing. Flash reboots, resets everything, new timeline, new Aquaman, new Flash, new Batman that's younger, because right now Ben Affleck is like almost 60 years old. It makes no sense to have him continue to be like the main Batman in the DCU. You need someone younger that can make like a trilogy of Batman movies too, as well as make cameo appearances here and there and be a member of the Justice League. So guys, I'm just editing the video that you're currently watching, and I just had a quick idea. It's very simple, but I think it would work very effectively for the Flash movie. Imagine if at the end of the Flash, Barry resets the timeline. Everything is going to be new faces, new characters, all that good stuff. But imagine at the end of the Flash, if he runs so fast that maybe this iteration of Barry dies or something, gets absorbed into the Speed Force, something along those lines, and then the movie just ends in white. Like, everything just fades to white. That would be a really cool ending, and then you could have your next DC film be exploring the new DCU. I think that would be really, really cool, and I think it would be a nice little send-off to end the Snyderverse and the DCEU as we knew it. They're obviously going to keep elements of it going forward. They're going to pick and choose what they want to keep and what they don't. But I think if they ended the Flash with just white on the screen and then the credits start rolling, I think that would be the perfect ending, and then we can look forward to the future of the DCU. I think Henry Cavill is still going to be staying. I think Wonder Woman, Gal Gadot is still staying. Ray Fisher Cyborg's probably done. Zolo as Blue Beetle is obviously going to stay. His movie hasn't even come out yet. Jason Momoa as Aquaman. I think Aquaman 2 is going to be his last movie as Aquaman, and then after the reboot, he's going to be Lobo. I think you could even make some pretty good jokes with that transition of characters. This is just huge news, guys, and like I said at the beginning of the video, I think it's good news. I think there's just way too much confusion and messy stuff going on with the previous DC movies. They weren't really that connected all that well. They weren't received that well. There was a whole bunch of problems with actors and all these different people involved with the movies. And I think James Gunn and Peter Safran really just sat down and was like, you know what? The only way that this future DC universe is going to be successful is if we just have a clean slate, wipe everything off the board. Yes, we can keep a few things here and there, like some actors like Gal Gadot and Henry Cavill, but for this thing to actually be successful, make a lot of money, and have a lot of people really like it, they need to start fresh. So I'm all for this. Like, yes, it's kind of sad. We probably won't see a Ben Affleck Batman movie or anything like that, but if that means that we have an interconnected DC universe, the movies are actually good, there's a good cohesive story that connects to the video games and the comics and everything like they've been saying, this is going to be awesome. Like, yes, there's going to be a messy transition period like the article was saying, but that messy transition period is going to make for a much better future DC universe compared to what we've gotten already. I'm really excited for it. Leave your comments down below of what you guys think about it, and do you think those movies are actually going to be cancelled like Wonder Woman 3 and Man of Steel 2, or do you agree with me in thinking that those projects are cancelled but they're just going to make them in the future, meaning they're not going to be like the same version that they were planning for? So yeah, this was a long video to make. I'm at like 30 minutes filming right now, but there was a lot to talk about. I'm really excited for the future of the DC universe, guys. Like, it is just going to be awesome. It's going to be a little bit more comic accurate, more cohesive. The story's probably going to be a lot better too, and I trust in James Gunn and Peter Safran. I think they're going to orchestrate something fantastic here. But yeah, that is it for the video. Thank you for watching. If you guys want to stay up to date with DC and Marvel movie news, stay tuned and subscribe. For now though, that is the end of the video. I hope you guys all have a great day, and I will see you guys in the next video.